What is up, guys? My name is Tyler Babin and welcome to episode 2 of 3-Minute Tutorial Friday. We all know this isn't going to be 3 minutes though, so we're just going to scrap the 3. It's Tutorial Friday. So first off, I know I've kind of been away for a little bit. There's only been a few uploads over the last month or two, and I first off just want to apologize to you guys. There's been a ton of travel, a ton of different projects. I went to VidCon for the first time. That was amazing. Spent some time in Los Angeles working on my documentary series.
I was smirking
Then I went to San Francisco for a week. I met up with all the other creative residents. I got a new tattoo.
Fun. It's very addictive.
Can you see the camera?
Yeah.
And now today I'm in Las Vegas. I literally flew here for one day to shoot a very fast project.
All right, moral of the story is if a stranger DMs you and says fly across the country to drive supercars, you just say yes.
More to come on all these things soon. Thank you everyone for all the incredible support lately. Now, for today. So if you guys follow me on Instagram, you may have seen I posted this photo a couple days ago and asked you guys if you wanted to see a tutorial since I posted the before and after of the image, and there was an overwhelming amount of yeses. So this is that tutorial. Basically, I'll set the scene. I was in Los Angeles. I was staying at a fairly crummy airport hotel, nothing fancy, very much bare bones, but the hotel room itself had kind of a cool look. They put the bed right in the center of the room, and even though each wall was pretty much painted a different color and there were chips and dings in all the furniture, I thought this kind of looks like something you might see in New York or London if we sort of adjusted some things. And so I thought, wouldn't it be cool if I took a photo in the room and then used some coloring and retouching techniques to make it look like it was in fact a New York, Paris, London hotel. Now, one quick disclaimer. There were some people on Instagram that thought I was encouraging people to post fake images on Instagram or to sort of fabricate a lifestyle. I want to say that is not my goal whatsoever, and I do not endorse that. I'm very big on transparency in social media. This for me was just a challenge to see if I could manipulate a room to look like something that was more aesthetically pleasing and that would fit on my sort of feed a little bit better. Please don't fake your lifestyle. Like, your life is really dope and you should show what your life is and be very transparent on Instagram because we need more transparency in the social media world. Okay, now that that's out of the way, let's dive into the computer and I'll show you guys quickly how this image came to life. Here we are. This is our final selected image. Now, I'll quickly drop this next to the original image that came out of camera, and you guys can see how big of a difference is actually happening here. First and foremost, you'll see not only does the crop change, I reshaped the room a little bit. So you'll see we pulled out all the color, made this image almost completely black and white, except for my skin tone where some of the color still exists. I added a texture and changed the color of the ceiling. I cleaned up a bunch of sort of dings and some of the furniture. And the biggest difference is I actually took my face from a different image and put it on my body from a different image. When I first was looking back through all of these images, I didn't actually like many of them, and I had sort of decided I wasn't actually going to post this photo until I was going through and saw this image right here. Now, I didn't like how my body is. My legs are weird. It looks very wonky, but my face looks like I'm looking down at my computer if we look at this image. So what I decided is that I could take these two images, take my face off of this image and drop it onto my body of this image to make a look that sort of fit with what I was doing. So first, let's talk color. Now, my normal workflow always starts in Lightroom, it ends in Photoshop, and that's exactly what happened here. I've been experimenting lately with Mango Street's new grid presets, and they are amazing. I buy tons of Lightroom presets, tons of LUTs, both because it gives me different sort of creative resources I can pull from to help sort of define my own look and feel. And it's also a really just amazing way to support the creators that I look up to and anything I can do to sort of help the overall community I want to do. So I've been messing with these packs and I've created sort of a look and feel out of those that works really well for me. So this particular image is based off the whites. This has been the baseline formula for most of my photos lately. We're going to quickly drop this preset on. So overall, it kind of does what we want it to do. It knocks out the majority of the color, makes it very monotone. All I want to do is pull down the exposure a little bit. I'm going to select all of them and click this magic button over here called Sync, which is going to just apply these settings across the board to every photo we have selected. Now we're gonna grab the 2 images that I really liked and open these guys up in Photoshop CC. Now the first thing we need to do is get both of these files on one layer. So we're gonna start with the file that of my face, drag it on over, line these up. Now the great thing is, since this image was shot on a tripod, they're pretty much the same, except the second one has a little bit more vignetting because I changed a couple settings, but it's really fine because we only need my face. I'm gonna select the elliptical marquee tool, select just a little bit around my head, and then we're gonna go down and click mask. And you'll see this change happens pretty much immediately, and you can't really even tell that there's that much different. If you really zoom in, I'm gonna lower my opacity a little bit and make sure that overall everything is aligned where it needs to be. If you take a look, the only thing that really gives this away a lot is the sort of break in the window over here, as well as the hood and the strings that come off of the hoodie, but we're gonna address all those things. We'll just clean up this mask a little bit. So I'm gonna grab my brush tool, lower the hardness. We're just gonna go over, paint around, soften up the edge of this mask a little bit. And what you'll notice if you look in the final picture, to address the problem of the strings coming off the hoodie, I actually just completely erased them from both images. And this is really easy to do. Let's come down to our background layer. We'll create a copy of it. I'm gonna make a quick lasso around each string. This can be very rough. We're gonna go right click, fill, and leave this on content aware, which should pretty much knock out the string itself. There's one more little piece that was left. So now if we zoom out, we take off these first layers, you'll see this is our sort of base image with some mild coloring. We add on a new layer that takes out the strings of my hoodie, and then we dropped on a new face. Now, let's reframe this image and get it ready for the gram. We're gonna go over to our crop tool, select 4x5, and I'm going to reframe just a little bit. Now, I'm not too worried that I'm coming out of the frame over here because I'll fix that in just a second. This looks good. Now I'll come down to this background layer, select my rectangular marquee tool, select this part of the image that we need to fill, right click, content aware, fill this guy. So see, here we end up, it extends the bed and the wall a little bit, so I'm in the center of the frame. So we're getting to a pretty good place now. What I'm gonna do is select all of these files, we'll group them and put base background. Now we can start building on top of this. The next thing I want to attack is the ceiling. Now you'll see in the final image, I went ahead and made the ceiling black. I added some texture onto it, so it's very sort of dark and ominous. All we have to do to accomplish this is actually grab our polygon lasso tool. We're gonna outline the ceiling. You can be pretty rough with this. Make a selection, and then we're gonna come down and select a curves adjustment layer. This is automatically gonna create a mask where all we can do is affect this section. What we'll do next is come down, grab a hue saturation adjustment layer, bring the saturation all the way down, and then we're gonna hold Alt and click in between these two layers. You'll see when you hold Alt and move your cursor right here, there's a little attach clipping mask. So now the hue and a saturation is only going to affect the ceiling, which you can see right here. Now, this looks pretty good on its own, but I wanted to push this a little bit further. So what I did was I jumped over to unsplash.com, which is an amazing resource for free stock images, and I searched dark texture. I sort of scrolled through here to see if anything that I could add a little bit of overall texture to, and I saw this image right here, which is a sort of monotone image of some waves. Now that we have this image downloaded, we're gonna actually bring the entire thing into Photoshop, drag it over into our new composition, and we're going to scale it down. We're gonna apply another clipping mask here so it's only affecting the section of the ceiling that we're working on currently. And then we're gonna drop the opacity way down to 15%. This just adds a little bit of sort of texture and sort of substance to the room. Now we've finished up the ceiling. We'll select these files, group them together. Next up, now that we've done our ceiling, we're going to start working on the walls, both to the side of the image and behind me. So again, what we'll do, grab our polygon lasso tool, we'll outline everything other than the roof. Again, this is gonna be a little bit rougher of a mask because we're gonna have to really clean this up in a second, but we'll make this selection. We're gonna grab our curves tool. You'll notice this is basically how I edit all of my images, is just making selections and adjusting it via curves. We'll drag this up a little bit because I want to really brighten up this wall, but you'll see my face is here. So what we'll do is select this layer again, select our brush tool, and all I'm going to do is go through and actually erase everything other than where I want it on the image. And you'll see if we turn this off and on now, you can see this whole sort of outside is brightened up. Now, when you're actually doing this, I really encourage you guys, go in, really refine these masks so that it only applies where you want it. You'll see this was a really quick job, so it still is sort of bleeding over onto my face a little bit. So now this is done, we'll select these guys, again, group it. This is walls and hoodie. So now we're almost there. The final step of color is we're going to knock out all the color in the bed frame and this lamp behind me. So you guys know the drill. We're going to, again, grab our lasso tool. We're gonna make a rough sort of outline of the bed frame, and we're gonna do exactly what we did last time. Again, create a curves adjustment layer. I wanna make this a little bit of a darker wood, and then also bring down our hue saturation, and we're gonna bring this way down, attach it to our curves layer so that it only affects the bed itself. Again, we're gonna go through, clean up this mask so it only affects the areas of the bed frame that we want. All right, now we cleaned it up. It only is affecting the bed frame itself, and we're actually gonna do the same trick we did with the ceiling. So I'm gonna come grab this unsplash image, bring it on over, attach it to our clipping mask, and then drop that opacity down to 15%. Now all of the coloring to the image is actually done. I'll select all the groups in our layers panel, group them together, call this color. So if I need to go back and edit or refine any of those masks, I can. Again, this is just a quick recap. And then I'm gonna create a stamp visible layer by holding Shift, Alt or Option, Command, and the letter E. So I'm gonna call this new base. And now all I'm gonna do is use some different tools to go through and clean up some different areas of the image. The biggest sort of eyesore of this whole image is this wire that dangles across the screen. So I'm gonna eliminate that. We're gonna select our lasso tool again. We'll go through, make our selection, close this guy off, right click, fill with content aware. And there we go, pretty much knocked it out. All I'm gonna do is grab my stamp tool and clean up the wall a little bit here. Again, I'm doing this very fast, but you can go through and really refine all these different things. We'll go up here, clean up this sort of the second half of the wire. And there you have it. That is our final image. Now, this was a very quick recap. When I originally edited the photo, and if you look on my Instagram, there might be some differences because I really took my time in refining all of these different masks. I think on the original edit, I spent an hour alone just cleaning up the background wall texture. But this gives you guys a really sort of quick idea of my thought process when I'm breaking down an image, the sort of steps I look at. I spend a lot of time on exposure and color with those curves layers, and then a final cleanup to really balance everything out. So I hope you guys took something from this. Let me know what else you want to learn, whether it's photo or video. Also some exciting things coming up starting mid-September. I will be doing an hour-long live stream every Friday here on this channel, breaking down the editing process of my new documentary series with Adobe. So if there's anything from a video workflow perspective you guys want me to go really in-depth on, please leave me a comment so I can be sure to work it into the curriculum. Now, that's all for me. I have to sign off here from Vegas. I gotta go jump on a plane and go back home to New York City. Like, subscribe, all the things I'm supposed to say at the end of these videos, and I'll see you soon.